Okay, so you've had a chance to see the original description of sex-linked traits. Now I think it's better if we do a couple problems together, and then you'll do the rest of the page. So, the sex-linked traits, almost all of the ones that are out there that we study in genetics are going to be X chromosome sex-linked traits. But occasionally there's one on the Y. So, you have to figure out where is the trait, and you need to figure out how it reacts. So, let's start with this first one. It says, a woman who is heterozygous for hemophilia. Okay, hemophilia is one of the X-linked traits. So, what I'd like to do is just take a minute and make sure we're clear on how this works. So, a woman is XX and a man is XY. So, the hemophilia trait is a recessive trait. That means that most people are normal. They have regular old blood. So, you could have a person who was X normal, and there's no chance their kids are going to have hemophilia. You could have a man who's normal, which would be X normal, but the Y doesn't have anything on it. The Y just doesn't get involved. It's like a blank. And in a way, the Y, the reason they even call it a Y is because a Y looks like an X that's missing a section. And that's pretty much the way it works, is that the Y has nothing to say about hemophilia because the X section is in charge of that. So a normal man is going to have one normal X and then a Y that's just not involved. Or you could have a woman that has hemophilia, which is going to be lowercase n because it's the recessive gene or the recessive allele of the gene. So a hemophiliac woman would be lowercase. A hemophiliac man would have the lowercase n for hemophilia and the Y for being a dude. So then there's a third option which only works for women, which is having one normal dominant and one recessive hemophiliac gene, which means that she is still normal because the normal one dominates, but she could pass on the hemophilia to a kid. There is no option like that. There's no heterozygous option for men because the Y has nothing to say about it. So when we look at these problems, we have three options for the women. We've got two dominant, two recessive, or one of each. And for the men, we have a dominant, a recessive, and that's all that you have as options. So, it says a woman who is heterozygous for hemophilia. So that means she's going to have one of each. Heterozygous means different. So let's start our Punnett square with the woman, X big N for normal, X little n for hemophilia. Then it says she marries a normal man. Okay? So we have the X big N for normal and a Y for man. So you always put the Y, move this up. You always put the Y by itself. So you can immediately fill in Y, Y. Okay, these are going to be your guys. So now we're going to figure out who ends up with hemophilia. So this X normal comes down into these boxes. And so we end up with a normal man. This one comes across, so we have a homozygous normal woman. She's got two dominant normal genes. No problems there. Then we have a woman who's got the hemophilia recessive gene, and that comes down. So this son has the hemophiliac gene, and he's a guy, so he's going to be a hemophiliac. The girl because she gets this normal X from her dad, is a heterozygous normal, so she's not going to have hemophilia. So 3 of these kids are totally fine. Sucks to be this guy. Hemophilia is not fun. Right? That's when your blood doesn't clot properly and you just keep bleeding and bleeding until you either get an injection of platelets, which you can donate. Like some of you guys, when you donate blood at the small gym, some people's blood will get used as full blood. Some people's blood, they spin it through a centrifuge and they get out the little particles that are platelets, and then they inject it into hemophiliacs every couple weeks. And they live their whole lives like that. They have to get injections pretty much bi-weekly. Yeah. Okay, so let's do a couple more problems together. Okay, number 2, a woman who is a carrier for hemophilia. Okay, so a carrier means that she has the gene for it, or the allele of the gene for it, that variety. But she herself is not a hemophiliac. So there's only one option there. You have a person who is X normal who is carrying the hemophiliac X. That's the woman. Then it says she marries a hemophiliac man. So the man's X is the one with hemophilia, and he's a dude, so you give him a Y. So they have kids, and the woman's normal X will get matched with one of the Y's, and you would get a normal son. But that normal X could get matched to the guy's hemophiliac X. This girl is going to be a carrier to possibly pass on that gene to her kids. Or you could have the hemophiliac gene from dad matching to the hemophiliac gene from mom, and this girl is going to be a hemophiliac. She's also in good company because her brother, because he's a Y, so it's a dude, is going to also get that hemophiliac X from his mom. So these 2 kids are hemophiliacs because both of her X's are recessive, and his only X has that recessive gene. Let's do one more just to make sure we're feeling comfortable, and then I'll let you try your hand at these yourself. Okay, so number 3, a hemophiliac woman. Okay, so if she's a hemophiliac, that means she's got it full blown. So she has both of her X's are the recessive. Then, let's see, a hemophiliac woman has a phenotypically normal mother. Phenotypically normal mother. Okay, lovely for you, Ma, but the thing is, her mother might have been normal, but she must have been carrying the hemophiliac gene in order to pass it on to her daughter. And it says, what are the genotypes of her mother and father? Okay, so we already know the mother, because if the mother was normal looking, phenotypically normal, she must have had one normal, capital N. But if a girl is going to have both of her X's as hemophiliacs, then she must have gotten one of them from her mother. So her mother is heterozygous normal. Now, this woman must have received her other little n from her dad. So her dad would have to be X little n and a Y because he's a dad. So that's how she ended up with both of her X's being hemophiliac X's. You could look at it this way. You could also have drawn that problem where if you're looking at the child and you're trying to go backwards on a Punnett square problem, it's just as easy to make the Punnett square and put her in one of the squares. Now we can work backwards and look at the parents. So one of the parents would have to have the little n. The other parent would have to have the little n and a y because he's a dude. So the only one we were looking for was this one, which we figured out because the problem told us she was phenotypically normal. So she must have looked normal with the capital N. That's just another way to do the problem. So if the problem starts out where they give you the information for the child, I recommend going ahead and putting that in the Punnett square and then figuring out the parents from there. If it starts with the parents, start from the outside and work in. Just a suggestion. You can do it whatever way you like. Okay, so good luck with numbers 4 through 8, and we'll come back and try those again later.